My name is Nick D'Agostino, and I'm here with Hannah Vennard, and we're talking about racism in a social sense in schools and such. So Hannah, have you heard about the Brown versus Board of Education?
I have heard about that, yes.
Do you know what it's about?
I know it was a really pivotal case to help stop segregation in schools.
Do you think schools are still segregated today?
Not as extreme as if they were back then, but yeah, I think they're always going to be in some way.
So since Brown and Board Education, do you think society has changed?
Yes, society's changed a lot, but I think there are people who still naturally just kind of hold that segregation against people who aren't like them. Mm-hmm. So yes, but no.
Do you think schools need to be more thoroughly integrated?
Yeah, I think they're always gonna have to be a little more thoroughly integrated. If we could find a way to make people kind of see through the other person's eyes and in their shoes, even though we're not as bad as we used to be, it's always gonna be present. So we should probably find a way to fix that.
So if you had the choice, if you're in that era, would you go to an all-white person school? Do you feel racism is a problem in schools today?
Yeah. I've said for every other answer, not as heavily, not as heavily as during the Brown versus Board of Education trial and all of those things when that was going on, but it's definitely still there and it still weighs on people, but not as bad.
Feel? All right, have you ever had a time where racism really took part of your life? Have you ever witnessed something or?
I'm lucky that I haven't really witnessed it. I mean, I know I'm in a family that's really accepting and I have friends who are, but my great-grandpa, the way he was raised, not like people with colored skin, and so because that's how he was taught, he still feels that way. And I know he's a good person, he's just was never taught the right values, and so I see it, but I'm lucky that it's not heavy in my life.
We are here today to interview Lauren Mueller. So, do you have any racism stories? Have you ever been racist?
Have I ever been racist? No, I've never been racist.
Have you ever had a time when you witnessed racism happening?
No, I've not.
Do you think schools should be segregated?
No, I think it should be all together.
Why is that?
Because you can't hinder someone just because of their skin color. I mean, we're all human. We should all be together.
Do you believe that the color of people's skin represents where they're from, and where they're from represents how their personality is?
No.
No, I think everyone's all their own person, but we're all, it doesn't matter what color you are, we're all gonna act the way we wanna act.
How is the N-word used in society today?
The N-word is used widely, whether it's trying to be offensive to someone or as an affectionate term. For some people, they use it like that.
When is it okay to use that word?
For me, it's not okay to use that word because people take offense to it and you never know who's going to take offense to it, if it's appropriate for the time or where you're at. I just don't think it's okay.
So rappers these days tend to always use that word in a different orientation. Why is it okay for dark-skinned rappers to say that rather to white-skinned?
I feel like
Lights.
if dark-skinned rappers are gonna say it, then they shouldn't be able to complain when light-skinned rappers say it. Or I feel like if African Americans say it, I don't think they should be able to complain when Caucasians say it, because if they can say it, what's the difference? If we're not trying to offend anybody, then I don't think it's a big deal.
Is African more of a joke, or is that
I don't like
becoming
saying,
more of a social term?
Mulatto is like the term that we were given, and I don't like using it because it sounds like mutt, and I don't like the word mutt, so African sounds a lot cleaner and lighter of a word.
Have you ever faced racism towards you or one of your friends?
Yeah, not much at school, but like camps over the summer. You see it at like Blue Lake Fine Arts Camp. I'd go there, and there's a lot more white people than there are black or African, mixed. It's prevalent there. Just anywhere you go, really. Maybe, I mean, it's not always in your face, but it's the small things that
Can
kind
you
of.
give an example of when you faced racism in your life?
I saw it a lot at Landslide Skate Park too. I used to skateboard when I was little, and they didn't even know what I was. And I was skateboarding, and I fell off my board, and they started talking about how I was a stupid Puerto Rican. And I mean, I laughed at first because I'm not Puerto Rican. They just kind of assumed what I was, and just started talking about how terrible Puerto Ricans were, and I'm not even Puerto Rican. It wasn't even being racist against black people. It was just being racist in general. It's the general idea of just not liking someone who's different than you. And there's no stereotype on how Puerto Ricans are bad at skateboarding. It's just people hate, and it's a terrible thing. So.
How do you feel if it was the death of 6 million blacks instead of 6 million Jews?
I wouldn't feel any different. I mean, it's 6 million people. It's the same feeling. I don't care who they are, where they come from. It's 6 million people. How do you expect someone to feel?
Pretty sad.
Exactly.